everybody, this is Miranda from Zynnyme, and I have the absolute amazing Melanie Yost. She is both a business coach and a licensed clinical social worker, and just one of the amazing people that I've met via LinkedIn, which is always so great. And today I wanted to bring her in to talk with you about the poverty mindset that she has encountered specifically with people in the helping and healing profession. So Melanie, tell us about what you've noticed and your expertise in this area.
Well, first of all, thank you so much for having me. I really, really appreciate being here, and I love chatting with you. So poverty mindset. What I've noticed is that poverty mindset shows up in three main areas. In money, can't afford, time, don't have enough time, and energy. Gosh, I just don't have the energy. I'm so overwhelmed. So those are the three main areas where that shows up for therapists, but people in general.
Awesome. And what does that lead to for therapists specifically who are in private practice and who are running their own businesses? What does that mindset, what does it create for them in the world?
Well, let's start with money. Let's start with kind of that cycle with money, but you can do this with time or with energy as well. So with money, it can create this under-earning or this undercharging. So a lot of therapists will do pro bono work or reduced fees or set themselves up where they're not making a lot of money because they're thinking other people can't afford things. They're undervaluing their services, so they're reducing their rates, and then they're struggling to make ends meet and make a living, so they see more clients than they really should see. It's not good for their health. It's not good for their practice. Mm-hmm. And then they begin to feel resentful because they're working really hard. And here's the interesting thing is when you're offering a lot of reduced fee and you're not valuing your work, your clients aren't going to value your work.
Yes.
And they're not going to work hard, and they're not going to do. So then the mindset is, I'm working really hard, and I'm doing this for you, and I'm helping you out, and you're not doing your work. Mm. And it creates this resentment, which then affects how they show up for their clients and their sessions, which then affects the work, and then nobody's happy. So it's just this downward spiral, and then they're stressed out about their own finances, and then the more that they're stressed out and the more that they fall into that poverty consciousness, the more they project it onto others, and then the more they reduce their rates, and it's just this vicious cycle.
Yes, absolutely. Well, and I was looking at, I know that counseling psychology has been #1 on the list of the worst paid master's degrees, and I was checking the list the other day. Well, they've updated it, so master's in psychology, counseling psychology is #1, and master's in social work is #2 of the worst paid master's degrees in the United States.
Wow.
And one of the things I think is so interesting is I feel like a lot of therapists feel like when it comes to giving back to their community and pro bono work, like it's kind of all or nothing. They either have to be completely available to help everybody at this reduced rate or to say yes to everybody even if they can't afford their services, or somehow they have to be this like weird miser who never gives back.
Right.
When we like explain to them that there's a lot of different ways that you can give back. Yes, one way is to have a few sliding scale slots on your, on your calendar. But the other way is to do supervision for free for a nonprofit. Another way is to do reduced fee supervision. Another way is to do community presentations for free. Another way you can give back is by doing great video trainings for your community online. You can, there's like a million ways you can give back. It doesn't have to be that you're trying to give out of a lack in your business so that you don't have a retirement or a vacation or a savings account or...
Yes, all the above.
So awesome. We've been talking about the poverty mindset in the helping and healing profession.
Yes.
Tell me about the ways that you feel like maybe the culture of helping and healing professions, meaning colleagues or graduate programs or licensing boards or professional organizations, what are ways that they can either kind of play into this poverty mindset, or ways that they can actually help to change and shift this poverty mindset?
Well, I think it's interesting because so I have my master's in social work. Well, you know, social work is about, it was originally developed helping the poor, right?
Yes.
So I've run across so many people within my own program, professors, all of that. It just gets passed down. It's this indoctrination that in order to do this, like, this is a true calling, and it really is. Like, I can't imagine doing anything else. I love helping people. But with that, with like, it feels like a ministry to a lot of people, and ministry and money don't work. In the Christian tradition, ministry and money don't work, even though ministries make just unbelievable amounts of money.
Yes.
We call people into suspect. I mean, look at Joel Osteen. He gets so much flack talking about abundance, and, you know, he's under scrutiny for how much money he makes. So there is like this unconscious vow of poverty that a lot of therapists take. And it's reflected, you know, like the instructors, other colleagues. I mean, I've had other, when I moved into coaching from therapy, I had other colleagues really call me out on it. And I was doing it to change my business model, but also to increase the amount of money I could make. Because as a therapist, when you're only being paid per hour when someone is in front of you, and your income is dictated by, oh, I don't know, traffic, flu season, childcare, work schedules, lots of things outside of your control, and I wanted more control over my income, I got a lot of pushback from my colleagues.
Absolutely.
And you get pushback from your kids. I worked a lot with adolescents. I want kids, your clients, excuse me. I worked a lot with adolescents, so they were my kids. And I had this one kid, I mean, he was just so blatant. He's like, you don't give a crap about me. Sorry.
No, you're being honest. He that's what he said, right? He didn't.
Yeah, you don't give a shit about me. You're just doing this for the money. I laughed because I said to him, if I were doing something just for the money, it would not be this. Trust me. I'm selling Harley Davidsons at my girlfriend's dealership, making $40,000 a month. It would not be this.
Yes. Well, and I think that's the thing that I think is so important to validate, that yes, this is a calling, and yes, you do this because you're incredibly passionate about it, but the only way you can continue this kind of work and do it long term is if you make money doing it. If you take care of yourself. I keep going back to this idea of when you're on the plane and you're taking care of other people, you have to put that oxygen mask on yourself first. Yes. If you don't have the oxygen mask, and this is financial too, you're going to suffocate. You know, and I feel like there's so many therapists who are financially suffocating out in their practices.
Well, and it's not just suffocation. I actually talked with a flight attendant, and she said the reason they say that is oxygen deprivation, it impairs your judgment. So you want to put it on yourself first so that you have the best judgment to help the people around you. So when you are struggling financially, it impairs your judgment. When you are constantly putting yourself second or third or fourth on the list, you have nothing left to give, and it's impairing your judgment. You're drained.
I think this is so huge. A lot of our clients that went through our business school boot camp, one of the areas that we talked about really in a lot of detail was this issue of money. And what many of them noticed was once they started to move past their money issues, it changed their work with clients in a really deep and profound way, both from the perspective of, you know, getting paid, but more from like a clinical perspective. Because if we're fearful about money, if we make assumptions about what's happening for our clients about money or how they feel about money, but we're not doing an accurate assessment or doing treatment plans in those areas, then how can we really help them, right? You know, financial health, I feel like, is a part of the overall health, and there's so much that's psychological and mindset related in that area. Who do we think they're going to go to? You know, you don't talk about your deep-seated fears with your CPA, and if you do, they're not really prepared to work with you on it.
Well, and money is so tied to safety and security for people. I mean, it is really, for a lot of people, it's a life or death issue. I mean, that's why when markets crash, people suicide, because it is so tied to that feeling of safety and security and that primal feeling of survival. So if we aren't comfortable, and when I worked in a group practice, we had billing people and we had administrative staff, and a lot of the therapists would not talk with their clients about their outstanding balances because they didn't want to muddy the clinical issues. I'm like, that is a clinical issue.
Yes.
You have to talk with them about that, and you have to get them comfortable with it. Yes.
That's one of the pieces that we saw that's so important is so many therapists are not taught to talk about money. We did a private practice analysis where we just asked people to kind of fill out a form that let us know what was happening in their practice. And one of the questions we asked is, kind of check the box, I let clients know what my fee is before they come into their first session. I was shocked at how many people did not tick that box.
You're kidding me.
No. It's actually really common in the psychoanalysis world to not talk about money, and if someone asks about fee, they're taught to say things like, okay, well, we'll work it out when you get here.
No. People need to know how to budget for.
Yes.
Oh, I can't imagine showing up not knowing how much a service is going to cost.
Yeah, and in most cases across the country, that's actually illegal beyond just like not appropriate. And so, we really teach therapists that how to do that initial consultation and to go through the process of giving people realistic expectations, not just about your hourly fee, but if you tell someone that your hourly fee is $150, but you don't tell them how frequently they need to attend in order to have the results that they need, then you really haven't given them a great idea, again, of how to budget. You have to say, this is how much it is, this is about how often we would meet, here's about how long we would start as a starting point. So, hey, for the next 8 weeks, it would be weekly at about $150 a session. How does that work for you financially? We need to get that direct, just like someone would if they went in for a facial series, right? You go into the medical dermatologist and they say, wow, I can totally help your skin cancer or whatever it is, but here's what it's going to cost, and this is what the initial treatment plan is going to be, and we'll go from there.
Yes. Well, and here's the thing, because a lot of therapists have this poverty consciousness and they project it onto people, and that is so disrespectful because we're making assumptions about them. We're making judgments, even though most therapists want to believe themselves to be very non-judgmental and open and accepting. We're actually making judgments about what they can and can't afford. And here is the thing I learned, when I was in graduate school. People afford what they want to afford. If it is important to them and valuable to them, they will find a way to afford it. When I was in graduate school, I worked Child Protective Services. I was going into these neighborhoods that police officers would only go in 2 cruisers at a time, and here I am taking my little my early 20s, my little self in there, and I go into these places, and they had big TVs, and the kids had designer sneakers, and they may not have any food, but they found a way to afford what was important to them. And this, I'm not putting any judgment on that. It's just, I realized if it's important to us, we find a way to afford it. If somebody kidnapped my daughter and wanted $1 million, I would find a way to get $1 million.